Let's learn some useful idioms to help you build your vocabulary. And this is important because we often use idioms in just casual conversation. You'll hear them in movies and TV shows, so it's going to help your listening comprehension. And if you are someone who enjoys building your vocabulary, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. And before we begin, I want to make a quick announcement. If you would like to practice and improve your speaking skills, you can join my speaking course. It's all about trying to help you speak confidently, speak clearly, and speak naturally. Each week there is a different speaking topic. You will learn vocabulary and idioms related to that topic. We do engaging speaking activities. I'll teach you some of the language nuances, like when to use certain words and phrases. And there are also pronunciation video lessons included in the course. So check out that link down below in the description if you would like to sign up or learn more. And when you click on that link, you will find a special discount just for you. That's all I have to say. So let's begin our lesson and learn some useful idioms. I want to talk to you about some common idioms and expressions that you can use in everyday conversation, and this will really help improve your comprehension and overall English fluency. So the first idiom that I want to talk to you about is to turn over a new leaf, and this just means to start fresh, to start new. You really want to change your attitude or your circumstances. So for example, maybe somebody might lose their job and they say, okay, I need to turn over a new leaf. I need to start fresh and I need to change these circumstances. I need to start looking for another job, start anew, start fresh.
Maybe a road trip is exactly what I need right now. I'm turning over a new leaf.
Starting tomorrow, I am turning over a new leaf. Time with you is my #1 priority.
I'm turning over a new leaf, and my good luck starts now.
The next idiom is the autumn years. And well, autumn is another word for fall. And if somebody's referring to the autumn years, they're talking about the later point in someone's life. They would refer to it as the autumn years when somebody gets older. And yes, this is not your autumn years. That's our little girl, Emmy. She's just a little baby. But when you're talking about later on in somebody's life, you may hear them refer to it and say the autumn years.
You're getting a little philosophical for me.
I suppose so. They say it happens in the autumn years.
I may teach, I may write a book. Whatever the hell one does when one approaches the autumn of one's years.
Then we have the idiom to drive someone nuts. And this is relevant. I think of fall. I often think of nuts. You can find them on the ground. And nuts is also an informal word, kind of slang that means the same as crazy. So if you drive someone nuts, it just means that you are making them crazy. Perhaps a person could be driving you nuts, or maybe a situation is just driving you nuts. It's making you crazy.
Hey, I'm not gonna mince words, Mitchell. It is driving me nuts.
You better thank your lucky stars I'm not in this competition, because I would eat you for breakfast.
You're driving me nuts.
Babe, your mother drives you nuts.
Then we have one of my favorite idioms, because I like using it from time to time, especially when I feel sick, and that idiom is under the weather. And you say that somebody maybe feels a little bit under the weather, and what it means is that person is kind of starting to feel a little sick. So it's not like they're really sick. It's just maybe they're a little sick or they're starting to feel sick. You'd say, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather right now.
Yeah, heard you were under the weather.
Oh, I didn't think I was gonna get to see you until tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Bernadette's a little under the weather.
Anubis, you sound unwell.
Well, I have been feeling a little under the weather, but I'm feeling much better now.
Next is neck of the woods. And if you hear somebody talking about, like, oh, for example, what are you doing in my neck of the woods? They're talking about a particular area or maybe even a particular neighborhood. So that's what it means, neck of the woods. And oftentimes, yeah, people might ask a question like I just did, and they say, hey, you see somebody in your neighborhood and you say, hey, what are you doing in my neck of the woods? Or perhaps in the office that you work at, somebody in another department comes and visits you in your department, and you'd say, hey, yeah, what are you doing in my neck of the woods? What are you doing in this particular area?
So what brings you to my neck of the woods?
A few errands.
I'm going to be in your neck of the woods soon, and it would be very nice to see you.
Well, if you ever
Get down in my neck of the woods, you got a place to stay.
Another idiom with woods is not out of the woods, because when I think of the fall, I often think of the woods. And if you say that you are not out of the woods, it just means that you are not out of danger. So out of the woods is talking about out of danger, and I think most of the time you hear it with the word not. Somebody is trying to say that they are not safe. They are still in a dangerous area. They are not out of the woods just yet. I think you might hear this in like TV shows and movies. If somebody is being chased by another person or a group of people and they haven't lost that group, they're still being chased. They say, you know, we're not out of the woods just yet. We need to keep running.
Mike's gonna be okay.
Can we see him?
Not out of the woods yet. I guess one of you could go in for just a minute.
The heartbeat's stronger, but we're not out of the woods. Need to get things going now. The cord is wrapped around the neck.
The next idiom is shaking like a leaf. And if somebody is shaking like a leaf, it's a way to describe somebody who is trembling. This person is shaking, they're trembling, mostly because of fear. You can say, oh, they're shaking like a leaf. The same way that in autumn, leaves, they tremble, they shake, and then they fall to the ground. And again, if somebody is trembling, then you could say they are shaking like a leaf.
Come sit in your chair, dearie. You're shaking like a leaf.
He's gonna be on muscle. Muscle? He's shaking like a leaf. How's he gonna do anything?
He wanted to talk about his father's symptoms. We Skyped, and there he was. He was shaking like a leaf.
Then we have to get wind of something. And if you get wind of something, it just means that you hear some rumor about something. It could be a rumor about something or a rumor about someone. And you get wind of this information. You learn about it, you hear about it. You could say, yeah, you know, I got wind of that. I heard about that rumor, or I heard that piece of information. To get wind of something.
Thought the publicity would really help Zip Couch. Oh, God. Once the press gets wind of this,
you know, Bolivians get wind of this. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, you wear pissy pants.
If the pervert community gets wind of morning jogging, oh, God help us.
Then we have the apple of someone's eye. And if you're talking about the apple of someone's eye, it just refers to a person who is loved the most by someone else. So for example, yes, I could say that Emmy right here, you are the apple of my eye. That yes, she is loved the most by me. She is the apple of my eye, as well as Joanna. They are the apples of my eye. So if you describe someone as the apple of your eye, it just means that they are loved the most by you. What are you doing?
What's a kiss?
Mwah.
Oh, look who it is. My husband, the apple of my eye.
Hello. Oh, apple of my eye, love of my life.
I mean, his household was a joyous place. And his wife, Dolly, well, she was the apple of his eye.
Then we have the idiom cold turkey. And you just got to include this because turkey, Thanksgiving, it is a very, very popular word around fall. So if somebody, you might talk about quitting cold turkey. And what that means, cold turkey, is that somebody stops a bad habit immediately and maybe suddenly as well, and you would quit something cold turkey. Often I think of smokers. Somebody is a smoker, they've been smoking for years, and then they just suddenly quit. They would say, I quit cold turkey. So any kind of bad habit that somebody might have, whether it's smoking or drinking, and then they suddenly stop, you could say that they quit cold turkey.
No, it's not your fault. No, it's partly my fault. Because I made you quit cold turkey.
You're right, Lisa. Love isn't about fixing someone. I'm just gonna give her up cold turkey.
You need to prove to Tara that you can be trusted.
Cold turkey, Jax. No booze, no weed. I'm serious.
the world can't just quit on oil and nuclear power or cold turkey. You'll dismantle our entire economy overnight.
So there you have it. Those are some great idioms that you can use in everyday conversation. They are all related to the fall, but you can use them in a variety of different situations and contexts. If you are someone who loves sports, then you are definitely going to love this idiom lesson. I'm going to teach you some idioms that are related to sports. That doesn't mean that you can only use these idioms when talking about sports. They can be used in a variety of different situations. I'll give you some example sentences as well as show you some videos so you can see how these idioms are used in context. So let's begin. The first idiom is a tennis idiom, and it is the ball is in your court. And what this means is that it is up to you. It is your responsibility to do something or to make a decision. The ball is in your court. So example, when you're playing tennis, you hit the ball to somebody else, and then the ball is in their court. It's up to them to act. So this can be used in a variety of contexts. It could be used in business, in a negotiation. For example, maybe you make an offer to buy something, and then you'd say, well, okay, here's my offer. The ball is in your court. It is your responsibility to make a decision now or tell me what you want to do. And we often use this idiom as just a standalone statement, and you would tell somebody, the ball is in your court now. It's up to you. The ball's in your court.
Call me back, if you want. Ball's in your court.
I said no, which put me right back in the driver's seat. So the ball is in his court?
The next idiom is to get off the hook. And if we're talking about hooks, you can probably guess that this is a fishing idiom. When you're fishing, you use a hook to catch the fish. So if the fish gets off the hook, then they are able to escape danger. They're able to escape punishment. And that's exactly what this idiom means. You are escaping responsibility for something that you are no longer responsible for this action that happened that was bad or wrong. You are no longer going to get punished for this thing. You are able to get off the hook.
I don't have a choice. I guess I'm kind of hoping you'll come back over the rail and get me off the hook here.
So for example, when I think of this idiom, because I'm a teacher, I think of students that when they don't do their homework and maybe there's a punishment and they're trying to think of an excuse, I might tell them and say, you're not going to get off the hook that easy.
You are not getting off the hook that easy, mister.
And that is a common sentence in which you might hear this idiom being used. That you would tell someone you're not going to get off the hook that easy, that you need to be held responsible for something that happens. You're not going to have it completely removed. You're going to have to suffer the consequences a little bit. You're not going to get off the hook that easy. Then we have a baseball idiom, go to bat for someone. To go to bat for someone means just to defend somebody. So in baseball, when you go to bat for another player, that you're basically helping that person out. They don't have to bat because you're going to do it for them. You're going to help that person. You are going to defend them.
Just go to bat for them.
I'm tired of going to bat for you and your show.
I want to thank you for going to bat for me last week.
Next is a hunting idiom, and this idiom is used quite often, and it is to give it your best shot. And often people would just say it as a sentence and just say, give it your best shot. And this means that you should just try your hardest, do your best. So when you're hunting, even though I'm not a hunter, you are shooting something and you want to give it your best shot. You tell people this all the time, whether they're doing sports or business. You would tell them and encourage them and say, give it your best shot.
Well, go ahead and give it your best shot.
Come on then, Nigel. Give it your best shot.
Okay, O'Connor, give it your best shot.
So for example, I would tell you guys this. If you're thinking that learning English is too difficult, I don't know if I could do it, I would encourage you and say, give it your best shot. Just try your best. That's all that we're asking you do. Give it your best shot. Next is an idiom that comes from horse racing, and that is the home stretch. And if you're talking about the home stretch, you're talking about the end. So when talking about horse racing, at the end of the race, you might hear somebody say, the horses are coming down the home stretch. They're getting close to the end. And you can use this when you are getting close to the end of something, specifically when you're about to complete something or finish something. So with this lesson, I'm just about halfway through it. I'm not quite in the home stretch just yet.
We're almost done. Home stretch.
This is the home stretch. All we gotta do is focus.
Ain't tough. You're in the home stretch.
Next is a golf idiom, and that is not up to par. So in golf, you have a score that you try to get for each hole, and If you match that score, then that would be par. So that's the average score. That's what you want to do. If somebody's not up to par, then that just means that they're not good enough to do a job or a position, and you just don't have the skills or abilities to do something. And somebody might say, yeah, it's, this work, it's not up to par.
So if I'm not up to par performance-wise...
Jim, this isn't exactly a turn-on.
There's a thing called Proposition 48. It says that if your grades aren't up to par, you can take the SAT. If you score 700 or more, you can get into college.
I hope these video lessons are definitely up to par for you guys. I hope so. Next is a boxing idiom, to throw in the towel. And in boxing, if somebody throws in the towel, then that just means they give up. The match is over. And that's exactly what it means, to give up something. So if you're tired of doing something, you don't want to do it anymore, you'd say, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I'm done. I give up. Or you might hear it being used that somebody's, they're trying to encourage you and tell you not to give up. And they'd say, don't throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel just yet. Keep going. Keep working hard.
They're throwing in the towel. He says once the debts are paid, there won't be too much left.
Round after round, I kept getting Frankie to patch me up. He's talking about throwing in the towel. But he ain't my manager. He can't throw in nothing.
Maybe it's time to throw in the towel.
If you guys are thinking, I'm done learning English, it's too difficult, I don't want to do it, I would tell you, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel just yet. And I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. I'm always going to encourage you and tell you to keep going and give it your best shot. And I'm just going to keep using these idioms over and over so that you'll remember them. Let's just keep going. We're coming down the home stretch, which means we're getting close to the end, but don't leave just yet. I have some more great idioms for you. And this next one is a football idiom. It's an American football idiom. And I'm sure some of you might be rolling your eyes like, oh, American football. Nobody watches that. But this idiom is a good one, and it is blindsided. And if somebody is blindsided, it just means that they did not see something coming. They did not expect this thing to happen. You were blindsided by something. So for example, somebody might tell you some news that is shocking, like, oh, they're getting a divorce. You're like, oh my goodness, I was just blindsided by this.
It's like you were as blindsided by this as I was.
I can't believe she blindsided me like this, being so nice and friendly to my face.
So when you're blindsided, it's not really a good thing. It's something that you weren't expecting, and you would be blindsided by something. So we often use it with the preposition by. I was blindsided by this thing that was not good, and I was surprised. I was blindsided. Then we have a basketball idiom, slam dunk. This is probably a phrase that you've heard before, especially if you're a basketball fan. In basketball, a slam dunk is when you take the ball and you slam it and hang on to the rim. Yeah, I can't slam dunk the basketball. I can't jump. So if something is a slam dunk, then it just means it's a sure thing. It's easy to do. It's easy to accomplish. You know that you're going to do this thing, and you say, well, it's a slam dunk. So you're watching this video right now, and I'm thinking like, I wonder if they're going to hit that like button. But I know, it's a slam dunk. It's a sure thing. You're going to hit that like button, right? Unless you think this lesson's not up to par.
It's a slam dunk.
I hope it's a real slam dunk. To me, this decision is a slam dunk.
The next idiom is call the shots. This is a billiards idiom because when you're playing billiards, you often have to call your shots and point to the pocket where you want to shoot the ball. So if somebody calls the shots, it just means they are making the decisions. You might often hear this idiom in business because there's a hierarchy of people, from the boss, the manager, and then you, and your boss would call the shots. They would be making the decisions.
I call the shots. I do what I want to do.
So you're calling the shots now, huh?
I'm just gonna see nothing but the bench this year.
You ain't calling the shots, you'll play.
So I'm a bit curious if you knew some of these idioms already. I hope that you weren't completely blindsided by these idioms, and I hope that you can go on to use them and try to use them and give it your best shot. Right now, we're gonna walk right out that door, and I'm gonna find some super useful and common idioms to help you improve your fluency. Let's go. Today I am out and about, I'm outside, and I'm gonna try to find some different idioms to help you improve your overall fluency. So let's just go, let's get out of here. Second, I should probably take you with me and the camera. Here we go. So here we have some bushes. And the next idiom that I want to teach you is to beat around the bush. And what it means if somebody is beating around the bush, it just means that, let me have a seat real quick. Ugh. It means that somebody is not speaking directly, or they're speaking indirectly. So instead of saying what's on their mind, instead of just saying it straightforward, they beat around the bush and they kind of maybe give you clues. And sometimes the reason you do this and you don't say things directly is because you're trying not to upset someone. And I think this is very common in certain environments like work or home. If you're talking to a colleague and you don't want to upset them and you have some news that you need to tell them, you might beat around the bush. Or at home, something happens and it's bad news and you don't want to tell your mother, father, husband, wife, you might beat around the bush instead of just coming right out and saying it directly. So I think this is something that, well, I think a lot of us do it. Some of us, I think, are very direct and we don't beat around the bush. But I think a common way this idiom is used is somebody is speaking indirectly and the other person would say, stop beating around the bush. Just tell me what you have to say. Stop beating around the bush.
Please, I will never beat around the bush like that.
Come in. Have a seat. I'm not going to beat around the bush here.
Will, you don't have to beat around the bush. I know exactly what you're getting at.
Another great idiom is to bark up the wrong tree. And what this means is that you're trying to tell someone that they're making a mistake, that whatever they're saying or doing is wrong. And it's almost like you know what the right answer is or what this person should be doing. And they're making a mistake and you could tell them, look, you're barking up the wrong tree. This is a mistake. You shouldn't be barking up this tree. You should be barking up that tree over there.
I've got my beady eye on you. You're barking up the wrong tree. And there's heaven. But who's that? Confucius. Boy, have I been barking up the wrong tree.
So you can see right behind me, here is the river. And a river, well, a river will flow. So the next idiom that I have for you is to go with the flow. And what this means, if you say, well, I'm gonna go with the flow, it means that you are going to accept a situation and kind of relax. You're not gonna try to change things. You're just gonna go with the flow. So I think this is a great idiom that can be used if somebody might be asking, well, what are you going to do? You're going to enter a situation and what's your reaction going to be? And say, well, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm not gonna try to control things. I'm going to relax. I'm gonna see what everybody else is doing and I'm just going to accept what is going on. I'm gonna go with the flow. When I'm traveling, especially with a group of people and everybody, maybe they wanna do different things, I like to just go with the flow.
But you know what? We're not going to rush this time. We're just going to go with the flow.
So you're on board now?
Yeah, I just go with the flow.
A good fighter needs to know how to improvise, to go with the flow.
Oh, I don't care. You know me, I just go with the flow.
All right, so let me show you. This right here is a bud. All right, and that's gonna help you understand the next idiom, which is to nip something in the bud. So if you think of like, like a flower, like we're looking at right now, before a flower blossoms, it's in the bud, and then the bud will blossom. So to nip something in the bud is to stop something at an early stage. And you're stopping it before it becomes established. And most of the time you're going to use it and say, okay, you know the situation, you know what you need to stop, and you might say, we need to nip this in the bud. We need to stop it. We need to stop something at this early stage before it develops, before it grows, before it becomes a thing, something that's established, and then you cannot stop it anymore, and you want to nip it in the bud.
I never should have let her do this Maxim thing in the first place.
I'm going to nip this thing in the bud. Is going to make a public apology tomorrow on Hardball.
Yeah, I gotta nip this in the bud. This has catastrophe written all over it.
And you can expect the same thing from everyone in this office if you don't nip this whole Employee of the Month situation in the bud.
So the next one that I have for you, it's actually an expression, and that is to knock on wood. And if somebody says this, it means that they are just hoping for good luck to happen. And you could say it to somebody else and just say, you know, knock on wood. And actually, I don't know if this is real wood, but you will hear this quite often if you want to, well, wish someone luck or hope that they have good luck for a performance or a test or basically anything, and you just say, you know, knock on wood. Or maybe you want to give hope to yourself for something you're getting ready to do. Say, I wish for the best. I hope I do well. Knock on wood.
Actually, this would be my first foray into the trial process. I haven't had to go to court yet. Knock on wood.
Let him see he's not the only one who builds solid houses, you know? I think he'll be pretty impressed, knock on wood.
So all along right here, these are rocks. Actually, they're kind of like, they're more like pebbles, but it really has to do with the next idiom that I want to teach you, and that is if you say that someone is living under a rock. And if somebody says this, if you hear it, it means that if somebody has been living under a rock, it means that this person is ignorant to something that is well known, that there is some event, something is happening that you think everybody should know about. And if somebody says, well, I don't know about this thing, then you could ask, like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Have you been living under a rock? So if you hear this expression, it means that, yeah, they're referring to somebody who is ignorant to some news, some information that is very well known that you think everybody should know about, to be living under a rock.
They all work together. God, have you been living under a rock?
No, David Guetta. Have I been living under a rock?
Yeah, that song is my jam.
I am the Beastmaster.
From the movie Beastmaster.
What rock have you been living under?
What's this? What, have you been living under a rock? This is the new meme. Cat-breaded Taylor Swift reporting.
So we're outside having a little bit of a picnic right now, and you can see that this right here is grass. There's quite a bit of it, and I have, it's actually not an idiom, it's a phrase that I want to teach you, and that is grassroots, because I think this is a very useful phrase to know, and especially it's something you may hear if you're listening to the news. And what it means is it's talking about the basic level of some activity or organization or even some cause. And I think that's how people use it quite often if you're talking about some grassroots campaign, and it's happening at the most basic level, people getting informed, people becoming motivated to create some change. And you could say that their campaign, it's grassroots. It's happening at that basic level. So I wanted to teach you that phrase because, well, we're outside and there's plenty of grass.
The Tea Party presents itself as a grassroots movement, which means it should be fiercely resistant to central control.
I understand that grassroots activism actually runs in your family.
So I opted for a more grassroots approach to get the word out.
So I'm not going to beat around the bush. Those are all the idioms I have for you this lesson, and I hope you learned some new ones. If you did, please hit that like button. We are now going to play in these fountains right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Do you love idioms? Today we're talking about love idioms. Today we'll talk to you about 10 love idioms, and these are idioms that don't necessarily have the word love in them, but they are used to describe love and relationships. So the first love idiom is to fancy someone, and this is mostly used in British English, and it means to like someone and their company. So it's not just to like someone, but to enjoy spending time with them. So if you enjoy spending time with someone and you really like them, you would say that you fancy them, you fancy that person. The couple is on their first date. It seems like they fancy each other. Number 2 is to fall for someone. And to fall for someone means to develop romantic feelings for someone over a period of time. It could be a short period of time or it could be a long period of time. But that's how you say that you fall for someone. I fell for Wes when we first started working together. So number 3 is head over heels in love with someone. So this one can be either head over heels in love or just head over heels, and it just means completely and deeply in love with someone. When somebody's head over heels in love with someone else, they cannot think of any other person. This is the only person on their mind. It's all that you think about. You're very, 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 very into this person. So you would say that you're head over heels. He fell head over heels in love with her and they got married within a month. Number 4 is lovey-dovey. Have you heard this one before? Lovey-dovey? I hear it quite a bit, and it's kind of a way that people act. It really describes how people act and how people are. So you can say that two people act very lovey-dovey with each other. That means that they're very affectionate and they really show their affection towards each other, but very strongly, very much. And sometimes it's more viewed as a negative thing, like, oh, they're so lovey-dovey. It can be almost a little too much, but it's an act. It's how you act towards each other. They're so cute together and they're so lovey-dovey. Number 5, to be smitten. It means to be strongly attracted to someone. It's almost like you were smacked by love and now you're super in love with this person or very, very attracted to them. He is smitten with her smile. Number 6, to get hitched. This is used quite a bit and it means to get married. To get hitched, to get married. Wes and I got hitched in New York at the courthouse. Number 7, to tie the knot. This is another one that's just a synonym for to get hitched, so it also means to get married, to tie the knot. My parents tied the knot in a beautiful church. Number 8, to go through a bit of a rough patch. Now this can be used as to go through a bit of a rough patch or to just go through a rough patch. What it means is when a couple is having trouble, a period of problems in their lives, you know, something goes bad and then they're constantly fighting or arguing or they just have some issues, we're saying that they're going through a rough patch or a bit of a rough patch. This usually means when you say that the period is finite and that things are going to get better. They're going through a bit of a rough patch right now, but they'll be okay. Number 9, double date. Double date means an activity that two couples do together. So it can really mean any kind of activity, but many times it just means like a date, like going somewhere to a picnic or to the movies or to a bar. Just two couples hanging out with each other. It's a double date. My parents always went on double dates with my aunt and uncle because all 4 of them were best friends. And finally, number 10, on the rocks. On the rocks is a relationship experiencing difficulties and is likely to fail. On the rocks doesn't necessarily have to describe a relationship between a couple, but it can really be used to describe any kind of relationship. Like if you don't get along with your mother or your father, you can say that your relationship with them is on the rocks. The man is sad because the relationship with his son is on the rocks.
Let's talk about some weird and strange idioms in English. And an idiom is a fixed set of words that have a particular meaning that's very different than the meaning of the individual word. So if I say something is a piece of cake, many of you may be familiar with this idiom. I'm not talking about food, I'm just saying that something is easy. And that is also, it's a bit of a strange idiom as well. Let's begin with our first idiom, which is, pardon my French. So this is a phrase that is used to apologize for some offensive language. If you say a word that is bad, you would then follow it with this idiom and you might say, pardon my French. If you were to say like, this is bullshit, pardon my French. It's almost like you're trying to say that the bad word is part of another language. but this idiom is used in a specific context. If you're talking to another person or perhaps a group of people and you kind of want to show respect and you want to be polite, but for some reason you really need to say this bad word, that use this offensive language, so you would follow it with pardon my French. It's like you're trying to say that, well, hey, this is not the way I normally speak. I do not use this language, and you would say something that might be offensive and then follow it with pardon my French.
Now, this is not to say I don't get a ration of shit in every conversation. Pardon my French.
Pardon my French. Today's been a gosh dang motherfudging sugar show.
The fact is, the industry is all of us by the balls. Pardon my French, Your Honor.
Then we have to weasel out of something. And I like this idiom because, well, I like idioms that have animals in them. And to weasel out of something, it means you're trying to avoid something by being dishonest. And I think we could all relate to this idiom if you have some housework to do. I know that I have housework that I have to do. Sometimes my wife might ask me to do something and I'm like, well, wait, I gotta go somewhere. I'll be right back. And yeah, I try to weasel out of doing the housework. I think, again, we can all relate to this one, to weasel out of something.
Hey, Stroker, $10 for the cage. Don't weasel out on me.
Well, I'd be taking an even bigger risk if I didn't hand this to you personally. You're not going to weasel out of my deal again.
If you can weasel me out of this physical, I will blow your mind by doing something incredibly holy at some point. Amen.
Hold your horses. This is, well, I think this is actually probably one of the more common idioms, and it just means that you're telling somebody to be patient, to wait a moment, calm down, relax, hold your horses. And it is a very strange idiom because I have no idea how hold your horses somehow became be patient, but that's the way it is. So this is good idiom if you want to use it and tell somebody, hey, just be patient, just calm down, wait a second, hold your horses.
Hold your horses, I'm coming. Well, apparently it is, because this is taking forever. It's forever.
Hold your horses.
Contact 9, this is dispatch. Come in.
Yeah, hold your horses.
Down in front. Come on, sweetie. Hold your horses, buddy.
The next strange idiom is pot calling the kettle black. And this idiom is used to point out hypocrisy. So if there's a situation and you're trying to point out this hypocrisy, you would just say that statement. You'd say, well, that's the pot calling the kettle black. So to help give you a little more context and meaning, say that you are trying to weasel out of something. And I tell you, like, hey, you should not avoid this, you should do it, you should not try to weasel out of it. And then later on, you learn that I am also trying to maybe weasel out of the same thing or something else. And then you would tell me, you point out that hypocrisy, and you would say, well, that's the pot calling the kettle black.
Why don't you go put some clothes on?
Well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Or African American?
Suddenly she's thinking of filing a restraining order.
Yeah, well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black?
Drinking while at school is just stupid, and most importantly, any of you guys drinking at all is illegal.
It's a fair amount of the pot calling the kettle black.
Then we have kitten caboodle. And this weird idiom means, well, the whole group of something, of people, the entire amount, all of something. And I think people would use this maybe to give emphasis when you tell somebody that you want, well, everything. I want it all. I want the whole kit and caboodle.
That'd be you, Truman?
That's the whole kit and caboodle.
Catch you later.
Last week, my stock was worth twice what it is now. I'm thinking about getting out in a whole kit and caboodle of it, boys. I see a vast improvement.
Not too late to change your mind. A lot of good cops want to drop the whole kit and caboodle. Who wouldn't?
Then we have tongue-in-cheek. And this idiom, yeah, the meaning is very different than those individual words, because this idiom means that you are just not being serious. You're making a joke, but maybe you're saying it in a serious way, like you're being sarcastic, and you could say that, well, it's just a little tongue-in-cheek. And I think often you might hear people use it in that way. They're telling somebody else, they're explaining that they're just joking, that they're being sarcastic, and you would say, yeah, it's just a little tongue-in-cheek.
After he was threatened by a group that somewhat tongue-in-cheek called itself the Gay Mafia.
You're as straight as an Oklahoma highway.
Seems like kind of an opportunity missed. Would have been funny.
Well, I feel that they were just trying to be tongue-in-cheek.
Ah, a winky face.
I guess that could be helpful if I'm saying something tongue-in-cheek.
Here is a very weird idiom, and that is wet behind the ears. And it has a pretty, well, straightforward meaning. If you would describe somebody as wet behind the ears, you're basically saying that they're inexperienced. And I don't know how this came about, that wet behind the ears became somebody who's inexperienced, but it's good to know. And I could say that, yeah, when I first started making these video lessons, I was wet behind the ears. I felt a little uncomfortable being in front of a camera. The quality of the videos were not that great. And yeah, it was because I was wet behind the ears.
You graduated 6 years ago, so you're 27, 28?
Yeah.
How you don't look it. Thank God my last assistant was only 23 and still wet behind the ears.
In fact, he even knew when some wet behind the ears FBI agent decided to put some informant in my cartel.
Next is gung-ho. And if you say that you are gung-ho, it means you're very excited and eager to do something. I am always gung-ho to teach you guys new English lessons each week, especially ones that help you build your vocabulary. That is something that I am gung-ho about. And I hope that you are gung-ho to hit that like button.
Why don't you let your new assistant take all this down?
Wow, you're gung-ho.
You're getting a new assistant?
We were all pretty happy when Jeff came around. He became really gung-ho about Abed's documentary.
Yes, his arm is paralyzed. Yes, his legs are paralyzed. Why is everyone so gung-ho to connect those two conditions?
Then we have a very weird idiom, which is mind your P's and Q's. And in my opinion, I think this idiom is perhaps a bit older. It's not one that I have heard in quite some time. And what it means, if somebody tells you to mind your P's and Q's, they're really telling you to mind your manners, to be careful about the way that you behave. And I think people might use it more often if you're talking to somebody, perhaps a child or somebody who's just really being very immature. You could tell them to mind their P's and Q's.
That's right. Capital City Tbilisi and former member of the Soviet Union. And we kindly request y'all mind your P's and Q's.
Now, I want everybody to mind their P's and Q's. That means no effing and jeffing.
The next idiom is a bull in a china shop. And often you would say that perhaps you're talking about a person, and you would say that someone is like a bull in a china shop. And what that means is that this person is not really careful in the way that they move around or even behave. And the idiom, if you think about it, it makes sense, because if you have a china shop, china, it's very fragile, very delicate. A bull is not the animal that you would want to have in a china shop, because everything's gonna break. So in a way, it's almost like you're saying that somebody is just not delicate in handling a particular situation, and you could say that they were acting like a bull in a china shop.
Like an elephant in a china shop.
Bull in a china shop.
Anyhow, hey, I am Kurt.
Get out now! Get out, bull in china shop! Out of my house!
Oh, Temple, this is why I come to find peace, dog. You're coming in here like an emotional bull in a china shop.
Then we have this strange idiom, to bite the dust. And I really like this idiom because I am a fan of Queen, and they have a famous song called Another One Bites the Dust. And if you say that someone or something bites the dust, it means, well, to die, to come to an end, or to fail. So if you don't succeed at whatever you were attempting to do, you could tell somebody, yeah, like I was trying to jump over this on my bike and I just bit the dust. I did not succeed, I failed. Or if you want to talk about, well, something dying, probably more common, you would refer to maybe an insect as opposed to a person, because you don't want to talk about people that way. You don't want to act like a bull in a china shop. You want to be a little more caring. But if we're talking about like a mosquito and you kill a mosquito, then yes, that mosquito bit the dust.
It means his current relationship is about ready to bite the dust.
Hard-ass counselors, bullies, all bite the dust, but Timmy's still standing.
I'm laughing because, yeah, this next idiom I think is very strange. I have no idea where it came from, but Bob's your uncle. And this idiom, you may hear it in the US from time to time, but I think it's more common in the UK and Ireland. And what it means is it's really just a way of saying, well, there it is, it's done, that's it. And often I think people would use it after giving a set of instructions. You're telling somebody to do something, and then once you're finished telling them what to do, you could just end it with Bob's your uncle.
Sit down, big smiles, plant the bug underneath the table. Easy peasy, Japanese, Bob's your uncle, that's that.
So I could give you guys some instructions and say, first, watch this entire lesson. Second, hit that like button. Third, write to me in the comments, and Bob's your uncle. There you have it. It's done. It's over. Bob's your uncle.
Do you like shopping like I do? Because if you do, I have some new shopping idioms for you. And because this is a very, very common subject, you are going to hear these idioms all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you the idioms, a little bit of an explanation of how and when they're used, and then an example sentence. So let's get to it. Our first idiom is window shopping. To window shop means to just look in the window of a store without buying anything and just kind of look and see what is there. And this is probably the one I like the least. And the reason is because when you window shop for something, you don't actually shop. You don't actually go inside the store and buy stuff. You just look, which I guess it can be fun sometimes, but most of the time I think it's more fun when you actually buy things.
We've got a lot of window shopping to do.
Plus, this is the perfect time to catch up on my window shopping.
I'm very well aware that there are many people who like to window shop, and the only thing I like to window shop for is I think like furniture and interior design stuff. That can be kind of fun. It gives me ideas. I like to window shop for antiques. So how about you? What do you like to window shop for? Do you like it? Is it annoying? What do you think? The next idiom is rip-off, a rip-off. And this is used as a noun or a verb. So something can be a rip-off or somebody can rip you off. And either way, it's not a good thing because when something is a rip-off, it means that it costs way more than it should. Way more.
What? What a rip-off! I got ripped off!
A rip-off is kind of an informal way to say that somebody's stealing from you. So if something's a rip-off, you almost feel like somebody was trying to steal money from you. That's how much you're paying for this particular item. It's a rip-off. $4 for an avocado? That's a rip-off. The next idiom is shop till you drop. You may have heard this one. I hear it in movies all the time. Everyone always talks about how they like to shop till they drop. I think it's a catchy idiom because it rhymes. It just means to shop for a really, really long time until you become exhausted. So if you have ever shopped till you drop, you know that feeling of the end of your shopping day when you're just like tired and ready to take a nap or something. At Christmas time, I usually shop till I drop for the perfect gifts. The next idiom is retail therapy or shopping therapy. You could say either one, they mean the same thing. What this means is to shop to make yourself feel better. So just kind of like what it sounds like. This is just something that we do if we've had a bad day or if we've had a rough time. Sometimes we just need a little retail therapy or shopping therapy. I had a bad day at work, so I did a little retail therapy on my way home. The next one is bargain hunting. And when you bargain hunt, you are looking for deals. That is what a bargain is a deal. So bargain hunting means actively searching for really, really good deals on things that you shop for.
Anyway, now we are going bargain hunting.
I'm not going to blow this by bargain hunting.
I like finding good deals, but I don't think I have the patience to always go bargain hunting. My mom loves to go bargain hunting on Black Friday. The next idiom is to shoplift, and this is a little bit of a bad one because, it involves a crime, which is never good. To shoplift means to steal something from a store. You shoplift. If you take it and hide it and walk out with it without paying for it, it's not a good thing. Don't shoplift. The girl shoplifted some candy from the store. Fit like a glove is our next idiom, and we usually use it for clothes or some kind of article of clothing because when something fits like a glove, it means it fits you perfectly. It looks like it was meant for your body. And, it's the perfect size, the perfect shape for you.
Fits like a glove.
68 years since I wore this uniform. Still fits me like a glove.
And everyone loves to find something that fits like a glove. It makes us feel great. I love my new shoes. They fit like a glove. Our next idiom is like a bull in a china shop. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but it's kind of a very specific idiom. What it is, it's kind of what you imagine it to be. So if you imagine a bull in a china shop, you know, it would destroy everything. So because everything is breakable, it's porcelain, so it would break.
You know, I'm obviously going to have to go talk to my bull in a china shop.
You're coming in here like an emotional bull in a china shop.
The idiom kind of means the same thing. If somebody behaves like a bull in a china shop, they are acting recklessly, they are acting clumsily, they are causing trouble. He marched into the meeting like a bull in a china shop. Our next idiom is a shopping spree. And the shopping spree is kind of a short period of time in which somebody buys a lot of things. The word spree, it just means kind of a short period of time, and it kind of shows like a lot of things that are happening in a short period of time. When I got pregnant, I went on a shopping spree for baby clothes. Our next idiom is pay through the nose. And this one's really funny for me for some reason. Just imagine taking out money out of our noses. It's actually not that funny in real life, because when you pay through the nose, it means you end up paying a lot of money for something, usually more than the fair price.
Make them pay through the nose.
In fact, they'll pay through the nose for it.
So it's not really a fair price that you're paying. You're paying a lot more than that. So it's not such a good thing. We waited until the last moment to get our plane tickets, so we had to pay through the nose.
I'm going to teach you some very common and useful American idioms and expressions that you might hear if you are talking to somebody who is from the United States, or maybe you can use some of these if you plan to visit the US. So believe me when I tell you that this lesson, it's going to be a piece of cake. And that is actually the first idiom that I want to teach you. Many of you are probably familiar with this. I wanted to start with something a little easier, and then it'll get a bit more challenging. But if we say that something is a piece of cake, it just means that something is very easy. So I told you that this lesson, it's going to be a piece of cake. I'm going to teach you these idioms and expressions, and after I explain them and tell you how to use them, I think that you will have a better understanding. And like I said, it's just going to improve your overall fluency. So this lesson, it's a piece of cake.
What's the sound of one hand clapping? Piece of cake. No, Bart, it's a 3,000-year-old riddle with no answer.
And every task you undertake becomes a piece of cake.
What about a race based on merit?
Rank each person individually.
Piece of cake.
Then we have the phrase run late or run behind, and they both mean the same thing. It just means to be late for something. Now, I guess I could say that I use this phrase quite often, and I would tell people that I'm running late. And I would use it often because, yes, I am sometimes late for appointments or if I'm going to meet somebody, but I would call ahead and tell them, hey, don't worry, I'm just running a little late. So in that case, I think it also implies that you are on your way to get somewhere. Or if you're talking about perhaps like a project and you tell your boss, I'm running a little behind. You're telling them that it may be late, but that you're working on it. So again, this is a great expression. I think, especially if you are somebody who tends to be late for things, you could just tell somebody, hey, I'm running a little late, but I will be there.
It's only 4 blocks, but they are so slow.
I'm running late too.
We're running late! We're always running late.
We're running a little behind schedule.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I've been running behind all morning.
Then we have the expression to get the hang of something. And this just means to learn something that's not quite obvious. So for example, I think often you would use this when talking about some type of game or activity. You're trying to learn it and get a little bit better at it. And in that case, you could tell somebody, I'm starting to get the hang of this. I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable. I understand it a little bit better, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. One thing I would like to point out with this expression is that it is often going to end with that pronoun, it. So in that case, it's almost like you know what it is, you know the game or activity that somebody is talking about. And if you're trying to learn it a little bit better, then you're trying to get the hang of it or starting to get the hang of it. Or you could say he is getting the hang of it, but you know the activity, so it's often going to end with that pronoun, it.
Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it.
You're gonna get the hang of it. We'll help you.
How's he doing?
Haven't quite gotten the hang of it yet.
Then we have the phrase, all set. And this just means that you are ready and you are, everything is in order. So it's something that maybe you could ask to somebody if you want to know if they're ready, and you could say, hey, you know, all set. Or you could tell somebody if you want to say that you are organized, you're prepared, and you are ready to go. And you'd say, you know, I'm all set. We're all set. We are ready, we're organized, we're prepared. You could also say, just to throw in another expression, good to go. It means the same thing. If somebody says, you know, I'm good to go, that means that they are ready, they're all set.
Ready? Ready. All set.
Okay, we're all set. Let her rip.
Is it okay if I put out some candy that Pam brought back from Puerto Rico?
Sure. Thanks for asking.
Pam, we're all set.
Let me know what you got, Elgin. Good to go.
Weapons good to go.
You're good to go.
Then we have the expression to sound like a broken record. And it really means, well, kind of exactly what it says, and that is that somebody is just repeating something again and again, especially when it's not really necessary, and you would say to another person like, oh, you know, you sound like a broken record. You just keep repeating the same thing again and again and again. Especially when you don't want to hear it, then you could use this expression and say that someone sounds like a broken record. I hope that I don't sound like a broken record, because I do. I tend to repeat things again and again so that you have a better understanding of all of these idioms and expressions, because I just want you to get the hang of it.
You know I sound like a broken record. We are buddies.
You gonna murder me like you murdered my father?
You people sound like a broken record.
Babies. You sound like a broken record.
Next is the phrase pitch in. And this just means that you start doing something as a group, especially something that is helpful. So if you are working with a group of people, maybe a team, you want everyone to pitch in. You want everyone to do some work, something that's helpful for the group or the team. And in that case, you want everyone to pitch in. But it's used in that context that you might ask someone who may not be helping, and you would tell them to pitch in or say you need to pitch in. But it is to do something that's helpful.
Everyone here has a job. We all pitch in.
Glad you could pitch in. He needs all the help he can get.
By the way, if you need help with that, I'm more than happy to pitch in.
Then we have the idiom to blow off some steam. And this just means to do something or to say something that helps you get rid of some energy, often some negative energy, that if you're angry or upset, you might try to, perhaps you go for a run and you just want to blow off some steam. You just want to get rid of that energy. So you could use it when talking about an activity, that you do something physical in order to blow off some steam, or maybe it's something that you say to someone. Perhaps you even might yell at someone, and you're trying to blow off some steam.
Time to think.
No, let him go. He needs to blow off some steam.
I've never seen him like this.
Give the big lug a break. Even he needs to blow off some steam.
I've been working so hard this semester. I really need to go crazy, you know? Blow off some steam.
You still seem stressed. You want to blow off some steam?
Then we have the expression, it's not rocket science. So this is a statement that somebody would say to another person if they want to express that something is not really difficult and it should be easy to understand. And you'd say, no, look, it's not rocket science. Listen for this if you're watching a TV show or movie, because again, if somebody wants to say that, like, look, this is not difficult, they might tell somebody, it's not rocket science. So I would tell you guys, learning these idioms and expressions, it's not rocket science. I think it's a piece of cake. And if you just keep practicing a little bit each and every day, then you're really gonna get the hang of it.
Call her, apologize. It's not rocket science.
I mean, fixing your hair is not exactly rocket science.
Because I don't want to go by myself. Barb, it's not rocket science. You just tell your parents you're going to stay at my place afterwards.
Then we have the expression to table something. And this just means to postpone a discussion until a later time. And often I think it might be used in business. Perhaps you're having a meeting with a group of people and you have a list of items that you're going to go through. But you want to discuss one of them at a later time. You might say, let's table this item for right now, and then we will discuss it later. So you could table some item if it's on an agenda, or maybe you could just table some discussion and you will talk about it at a later time. To table something.
Suppose that we table this discussion until, let's say, the second nope is gone.
I think what the Danish is trying to say is there'll be time to talk about that. We can table that for a later date.
What is your job exactly besides making balloon animals?
Protecting your reality.
Okay, guys, can we table this discussion right now? The fact is that we have this stone.
Next is the idiom to jump on the bandwagon. And this just means to start supporting something or to even start doing something because it's trendy or fashionable. Often, I think I would use this idiom when talking about sports, that if there is a sport team that just suddenly started winning and then everybody, they like this team all of a sudden, they're a huge fan, then you could say, look, he just jumped on the bandwagon. He only likes the team because everybody else does. He's supporting this team. He jumped on the bandwagon. Of course, this has happened to me. If I'm living somewhere and then that city has a sports team, they become really great. Yeah, I jump on the bandwagon.
Everything's eco-friendly this, eco-friendly that. I just haven't jumped on the bandwagon yet.
Millions of people got on the anti-Denmark bandwagon.
Show me some kind of kindness, not jumping on the Let's Get Meg family bandwagon.
Let's stick with sports for right now because the next expression is to sit in the nosebleed, or you could say to sit in the nosebleed section. And what this refers to is that you are sitting in seats that are very high up at the very top of a stadium, and you're very far away from all of the action. Because you're so high up there, you are sitting in the nosebleed section. And the reason why we use this is because if you are at a very high altitude, then maybe your nose would start to bleed because of the altitude. So if you're high up there in the stadium, then you could say, I'm sitting in the nosebleed section. When I jump on the bandwagon and I want to go see a sports team play, typically, I don't have a ton of money to spend, so I have to find the cheapest tickets, which are usually high up there in the stadium, and I would sit in the nosebleed section.
Can you take me to a concert with my new friend, Harper?
Sure, why not? It'll be nosebleed or obstructed view seat.
But you know what? I have a friend. He's got a couple of seats. If you don't mind the nosebleed section, they're yours.
No, we don't care. We just want to go. Then we have the idiom to fall through the cracks. And this just means to overlook something. So if you are perhaps doing some project, you don't want to overlook the details. You don't want anything to fall through the cracks.
I need you to be sure that things don't fall through the cracks. Basically, I need you to be more like Dean here.
You do it every week and you forgot. Things are falling through the cracks. I'm pretty sure you've worn that sweater 4 days in a row.
This whole single parent thing. Everything is just falling through the cracks.
So what did I tell you? Those idioms and expressions, piece of cake, all right? It's not rocket science. And I'm sorry, I know that I sound like a broken record because I keep repeating these same idioms and expressions over and over again. I hope you're not upset with me, but if you are a little upset and you think you need to blow off some steam, then I would suggest that you check out another video lesson. I hope that you enjoy these lessons and that you jump on the interactive English bandwagon. Jump on the interactive English bandwagon, and because, okay, I can't think of any more. I'm just trying to review as much as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned some new idioms and expressions, and I will see you next time.